I've tried basically every way to make money as a music producer, and after a lot of thought, I've narrowed down to the top 5 ways. In this video, we're gonna break down each way by how much you can make if you're the absolute best, how much you can make if you're pretty good, meaning you're a professional, but you're not the top performer, the pros and cons of each, and how to get started in each one. You might be asking yourself, how do I know this? 1, I've either done it myself. 2, I've either worked closely or I'm friends with the top performers in the lane, or I found this information shared publicly online. Number 1. BeatStars and type beats. Let's say income potential. If you're like the absolute best, you're absolutely killing it. Few people come to mind. I'm gonna say you're doing $300,000 plus. And I can actually say that I've personally broken that income like profit, I think 2, maybe 3 times, like in a year. I bet there's been people in the past that maybe have done 500,000. I don't know. I wanted to put a conservative estimate on that one. So let's say income potential, if you're pretty good, let's say 80 to 100,000 a year. You have a great following. You've built an awesome customer base, getting good amount of views. I mean, you could do that with like 5,000 views a video or something like that. Like that's not crazy if you're making the right type of music. Pros and cons. The major pro of this one is lifestyle. You don't have to do any studio sessions. Like you don't have to spend a whole night in a studio with an artist that you don't believe in. You don't have to do mixing clients. Like you just post your stuff, and if it's good, you've built your brand, it'll sell. The cons are that you probably don't get the respect of someone that might be like an industry producer. However, I know there are so many industry producers who aren't even getting close to the type of money that certain people are making on BeatStars. If we go to how to get started making money, if you really want to know, I actually did a 32-minute video that you can find here. And I also did a 7-hour course. The video's free. The course is like super reasonably priced. However, you got to choose a great market, meaning you're selling beats that people are buying. You got to have a great channel aesthetic and good thumbnails. So like you understand the thumbnail game, and you're making music that artists want to sing or rap over and they're willing to purchase. And if you can build up that catalog of great beats that fit all that criteria, then you just have to have one pop off and you're going to start bringing artists into your ecosystem, start building a real business. So overall, I mean, I love this. I do it myself. It's super awesome. Number 2, independent sample store / Tracklib. So I've grouped these together because they've kind of merged. So this used to be kind of, let's call it like the drum broker style business. And then there was these independent sample stores that were built off that model. And it's kind of merged with Tracklib because of the way people prefer to download samples nowadays. You could also call it like the sample pack game. You can basically take the same thing that's on an independent sample store and put it on Tracklib. So the absolute best is probably looking at 150,000 from your independent store. I've heard like you can do 6 figures on Tracklib as a creator. So let's say 250,000, and I almost want to push that to 300,000, but let's just be conservative. I'm going to say if you're pretty good, maybe you've got great packs, maybe you're not the most consistent, or maybe you've got pretty good packs and you're fairly consistent. I think combined, you're looking at another 100,000. And so the perks of this is that you maintain ownership of your ideas. It's not like Splice where you're giving up the royalties in exchange for potentially more money off the downloads. With this, you also have things like advances on placements that you get. And then if you're successful with this, you'll stack up a publishing catalog and start to get royalties. Then this will just be one stream of income that's actually feeding more streams of income that are, the other ones are more passive. So that's a major pro of this one, is that you can get placements, you can get like the social like status, and which a lot of people chase. They don't always want to admit it, but it definitely means a lot to people. And you get to collab with a lot of cool producers. That's also awesome. There's no better networking tool than Fire Samples, is what I've noticed. The cons, and this honestly might be a pro depending on who you are, is that there's a higher skill level barrier to entry to making great samples. Like I really can't think of any awesome sample maker that has been doing it like less than 5 years. And I really can't think of absolutely insane, like mind-blowing sample makers that are over a decade into this. So the cons is it's hard. Like you've got to be skilled. And then so how do you get started making money? For you to get your stuff on a site like Tracklib, you got to get the ball rolling yourself. And that's like my best advice of like how to network. Get your own stuff going, because it's proof of concept. If you can make sales on your own, if you can build a brand, if you can become known, you're going to be a more attractive person for them to host on their site. And the way you do that, you just start dropping your independent sample packs. And you can work with certain stores like the Sample Lab. You can do it on your own and run Facebook ads. And that's what I actually did with Kroniak when we worked together, and you can check out that video on how I worked with him and coached him, and we got him from $0 to $7,000 a month of income, and a lot of it came from his independent sample store. So yeah, so step one, get really good at making samples. Takes a long time. Step two, package them up into sample packs and sell them. Step three, build a brand through that, and then leverage your brand to get yourself on stores like Tracklib. It's a grind, but it's totally an awesome path if you can pull it off. Number three, royalty-free samples, aka splice. Let's say income potential if you're the best. I actually do know this because, so we'll just say this. For one of my friends who has a splice deal, we've done reverse engineering to find out how much he gets paid per download. And then Splice actually posted how many downloads the most popular kits got in 2024. So we were actually able to find out based off an assumption of how much you can make per. And not only that, here's a clip of Cashmere saying they made $500K in a year.
For me, the sound pack game has been really good to me. With all the sound packs, it probably comes out to more than $500,000 a year or something like that.
Income potential if you're the best. Whew, it's good. This is conservative. I'm going to say 650,000. One person already said it online. You can probably figure out who the other is. If you are awesome, it is a massive platform with a ton of users. You get paid per download if you can get a deal. It can be really cool. So income potential if you're pretty good. I'm going to say we're going to even boost it like a little bit. Like you could probably make 120K a year just being a solid splice guy, like consistent. Maybe you drop 5 to 6 packs, maybe. And it might even be like, I want to even give a better range for this one because it's a great way to make money. The pro is the money. And not only that, you also get to focus roughly entirely on the music because a lot of times Splice will actually take care of the branding for you. You don't have to worry about promoting because Splice is doing all that work. Like you're using their platform. You can really like focus on making a great product for your customers, which are the people that download your stuff. Low key, it also builds your brand, which you may not think because it's like, oh, you don't get credit for stuff. But like who made Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter? Oliver did. All of us producers know that. So that is the con of it, is that you don't get public credit for what you've done. For example, Espresso won a Grammy. Oliver does not technically have a Grammy, even though, like, honestly, if I won that, I would just make my own Grammy and be like, look, I made this song. But so that's like the con. You don't get all that credit. You don't get any royalties on your songs. But what you do is you trade that for the Splice royalties, which in my opinion could be more valuable, certainly for the headache. I'm a fan of it if you can get it. And that leads us to our next point. How do you get started? I guess this is another con of this one. Highest barrier to entry. You have to build your brand first. And you can do that one or two ways. You can either get placements, get movement, get a sample pack library that people are fans of, or you could build your brand on YouTube or as a content creator where people know who you are and they find your stuff. So that's usually how it goes. The better opportunities are harder to get. It's just natural. Like it's not like, oh, the easy way to making 650 grand as a music producer. I'm sorry if someone's selling you that course, don't buy it because that path doesn't exist. So super hard. You have to be super talented, but if you are, super awesome. So for number 4, there's actually 2 parts to it. So I'm going to categorize this as production-based content creator. And we're going to say part 1 is education because there's also another part to it. This is basically your main priority is education and teaching people. Here's the thing about this though. You have to have credibility in one or two ways, and honestly, ideally both. One, you either have to have done something like noteworthy. For me, it is my BeatStars career, or you just have to be awesome. Like you just have to sit down at a piano hypothetically and be like, yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about. Like the proof is right there. Okay, so income potential if you're the best. Okay, so I actually want to share this article with you guys. So this is from the Recording Revolution. It's a YouTube channel. They don't post as much anymore. I think the guy moved on, but he was making $40,000 a month doing education products, and he really knew what he's talking about. He knew how to explain it well. I bet Rick Beato, it's got to be awesome. I'm going to say conservatively because I have proof for the 500,000 with the Recording Revolution. With his business model, he's like gone out publicly and said that. I think there might be some top guys that could be doubling that, but that would be too much speculation for me to share. So income potential, if you're pretty good, yeah, this is like an awesome way. I mean, and this is my go-to number, I'm sorry, but it's an awesome way to make 100,000 a year. You can sell like educational products on whatever people want to learn from you, whatever your expertise is. I mean, I always think that stuff is super valuable because I did buy courses when I was getting started. And if someone is like genuinely like passionate about education and like super, like going super hard on their products, to me, it's better than college because it's like so hyper specific. It's based off people who have actually done it. It can also be scammy, but I don't want to focus on those guys. In my opinion, they're pretty easy to sniff out, but you can have multiple income streams. You can coach people one-on-one like I do with my daily program, and we've been getting awesome results. I've had super successful members like Wanchi, for example. We got him 5,000 subscribers in I think like 3 months. So that's my version of that. Pros is like, it's a great business model and you get to help people, you get to make videos, you get to be creative. Cons is you're going to get like a little bit of hate. I don't know. That doesn't bother me. You might not get like the most like respect as much as like someone gets a placement. And then also like, I see why a lot of people don't do this because to make good videos, you have to spend a lot of time writing them, structuring them, editing them and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work. That's the biggest con actually, is a lot of non-music related skills are involved. Video editing, writing, teaching, concepts like communicating, speaking. So I love that stuff. You may not. So how to get started? Like I said, you got to have the credibility in either the skill or the accolades, one of the two, to keep it simple. If you have that, then you just share your stuff. Just be honest. That's been my approach. That's what I've shared with others. You can see that other people who have worked closely with me have used that and it's been successful. That's it. Yeah. Just try to be helpful based off what you're an expert on. Yeah. Oh, and so get started making money, working with people one-on-one and programs and courses, and simple as that. Okay. Part 2 of the production-based content creator is entertainment. And the people I think of, Kyle Beats, Simon Servita, Ed Talenti, and we'll say entertainment / storytelling based, because that's what it is. I mean, if you're good at this, I mean, income potential, like how much can you make? Kyle Beats shared it publicly on his Rust podcast, and I believe another one. And I think he's shared a screenshot that he's now done $3 million on the Drip plugin. So I think he said he made $1 million in 3 months. I bet that year he made, and that's just not counting anything else he was doing. So 1.5 million, I think you can make. I don't know if you make that every year, but in a good year, like that is the potential. And I believe Kyle Beats has done that and he shared that as well. So here's evidence backing up everything I just said.
And then just seeing what we done with the plugin, our plugin made a fucking $1 million in like 4 months.
What?
Income potential if you're pretty good. It's kind of takes a minute to get your foot in the door. It's like, it's a long grind. But once you get like, I said pretty good, I'm going to say like, we'll give like 140,000. Like you're not the best, but you're a very solid player. I think like 140K, that can be off kits, that can be off. You can still do courses like this, but I don't think it's like their main thing. Brand deals are awesome. The pros, to me, this is like so solid and future proof, even with like AI coming in, that type of stuff. Side note, I do think we're going to be all right with the AI stuff. It's actually going to make our jobs super cool in my opinion. But the longevity of this is just awesome. Like Kyle Beats cannot post for 3 months and he comes back and we're like, hey, it's Kyle Beats, let's watch again. You know, it doesn't bother us at all. It also opens up like opportunities that you can't even imagine. And that's what I've noticed doing it is like people reach out to me. I'm like, I could have never predicted that would happen from this. It's like the income ceiling is awesome, like super high. That's another pro. The con is just you don't get to make as much music. Like we'll just simplify it as that. Like you've got to be good. Definitely have to put in your time. But once you get there, the content becomes primary and the music becomes secondary. That's just the truth of it. And you have to focus on other things like entertainment, storytelling, videos, brand deals, like all that type of stuff. There's so much more that goes into it. And yeah, and that's how do you get started making money? So you just have to make good content. This is very personality driven. What does that mean? It's a little vague. If you know how to entertain people, if you know how to storytell, if you know how to hook people, you know how to engage them, you know how to keep their attention through a video. But what's awesome about this is like most people are afraid to do this. Like most people are afraid to be as transparent as maybe I am online. If you just start doing that, people will gravitate towards you. You can also document the journey. You don't have to document once you're at the final destination, which is shout out to Kyle Beats. I mean, I feel like he's done that and it's been super. He's a legend. And this final one, number 5, is traditional music industry, like placements and like a pub deal. So like income if you're the best. Unfortunately, it's not 2000 anymore and you can't go Scott Storch and make 100 million in a year or something like that. But I mean, can you do 5 million like as a producer? So I'm not talking about Metro Boomin because he almost doesn't count. So if you don't, Metro Boomin, DJ Khaled, those guys must be like 20, 30, 40 is my guess.
Call me asparagus.
Get from head to toe, toe to head.
But let's say you're like a traditional producer, you're getting like your OZ, like you're getting splits, you're getting pub. Yeah, you might have a run where you do like 5 million in a year or something like that. But that is like, that's maybe like Murder Beats at his peak. That might be OZ at his peak, or Oz. That's a rough speculation. Yeah, which is like crazy high. Income potential if you're pretty good. This I think is going to surprise a lot of people. So, I mean, I've just heard so many stories is that the income potential, you're the top 5% of like producers. Like you might be making like on average like 150 grand a year. And I'm talking like major placements. You can also do this on one Drake song in a year, like double or triple this too. So I feel like the range for this one is just ridiculously big. Some people might be making like $40,000 a year off this, and they have songs with like people that you'd be like, I thought you'd be like a millionaire. Like it just all over the place. It also depends on your deal. This one has so many variables. That's why it's so wide. Talk about the pros. The pros is like, this is the most like publicly celebrated. You're gonna get the most clout, the most status, if that's something you care about. People that don't know you're gonna be like, oh, you made that song for so-and-so. Like that's insane. And then your ceiling is amazing. Once you land the songs, the income is super passive. And not only that, the other pros is like you can leverage this for like a pub deal, which can be like a life-changing payday where like you all of a sudden get like $1 million, which is not $1 million. There's taxes involved and stuff like that. You have to pay out managers. That'll get us to our cons is you're going to get so many hands on the money that you're earning, and it could be rightfully so, or it could not be. And I feel like in the music industry, a lot of times it's not rightfully so. Like you land a placement completely on your own. You have to pay your manager 15%, even if he didn't do anything, but hopefully you have a great manager making connections for you left and right and is earning his money. Like I said, there's so many variables on this one. The other cons too is like, you're either making like good money or no money. This is something if you want to pursue, prepare to be broke for like 3 to 4 years and have no guarantee of breaking through that. I mean, no business does, but this like really doesn't. The other cons is like, yeah, studio sessions with artists that you don't believe in. Like that's my nightmare is being with a rapper in the studio and they're telling me to make the beat more purple. And I'm like, what does that mean? I would prefer to pursue this route from like an independent sample store Tracklib route if I want to get placements or something like that. I do love working with artists that like I love and I like am fans of. That's cool. But yeah, there's a lot of cons, shady industry stuff, like constant politics. What I love about all that other stuff is like you can have peace of mind. You can live a great life. This is like, it's up in the air. How to get started making money? Yeah. And then this is the other con. This is probably the hardest to get your foot in the door for sure, because you got to be dope. That's for sure. You got to be good. You got to be great at networking. You have to care about networking. It's like, you got to enjoy that part of it, or you have a manager that does that, but now you're outsourcing a lot. You better trust him. Certainly my own biases came through on this one for sure. But yeah, that's the industry. So what's the best way to make money as a producer? I can give you the right answer for what type of person you are. Let's say that you love making beats. You're not really that interested in samples. You don't care to play all the industry games. Like if you could just sit at home and make beats all day, like that's your dream. That's all you could ever want. Then BeatStars and Type Beats are for you. Let's say you maybe have a more musical background. You love writing music. You can play instruments, or you understand them really well and can work with people or have a network of musicians. But you still want credit and you still want placements and you want that kind of like the clout and status that comes with it, which is not a bad thing, but you don't want to do studio sessions. Then the independent Tracklib sample store route could totally be for you. Let's say you have a musical background and you love writing samples and you just want to do music and you don't care at all about credit or placements or any of the music industry stuff, and you just want money for making music. Splice is 100% the best route for you. Let's say you have some accomplishments or you're like super skill based and you love learning and you want to figure out how to make like a good income stream from that. Then I would definitely advise the education-based content creator route. Or if you're super outgoing, you love being on camera, you love music production, but you also like making videos, you like working with people, and you like a lot of the extra stuff that comes with it, then I would say that the entertainment/storytelling route of the music production-based content creator would be a great path for you. And if you're someone that wants to go for it all, your ultimate dream is getting like a Drake or a Kendrick song or something like that, and you're willing to risk it all, you're okay with maybe not making money for like 3 or 4 or 5 years, and you can deal with the politics and all that type of stuff, you enjoy the networking, and you want that highest possible ceiling, then traditional industry would be a great route for you.